So this is a question that has been kind of in my head for basically ever since the All-Star race ended, and judging by the fan response, it seems like a few people kind of agree with me. Does NASCAR even care about the All-Star race? Let's be honest. And no, I'm not saying it's not just because NASCAR wants to keep the All-Star race in Texas for some inexplicable reason, but you know, when you look at the All-Star race this year, between the All-Star Open and the main event, there were only 36 cars entered. 36, and that's it. That's like the lowest amount we have seen. And now, yeah, some of that has to do with the next gen car. Not all of the Open teams are going to have enough funding to run this just one race. They don't want to risk junking their car. I would have loved to see like the Money team make an appearance in the All-Star race, maybe one of the MBM cars, the Beer Motorsport 62, but it is what it is. I understand. I understand why they didn't run it, but you know what other non-points event had all 36 charter teams eligible? The Clash. The Clash at the LA Coliseum, because ever since the Clash expanded this season to include all 36 charter teams, it has become kind of an all-star event itself where anyone can race their way into the main event through heat races and the like, similar to how you can race your way into the all-star race via the Open. Now, I consider this idea, many other people have been throwing around, make this all-star race a rotating venue, but instead of doing it at NASCAR tracks, why not do it at a stadium or even street courses? Go crazy, because the All-Star race is supposed to be a full-on gimmick. So why not go full-on crazy in this one weekend where NASCAR can go full gimmicky? They have the green light to do crazy stuff. They can run a Soldier Field like they did way back in the day. They can even explore doing it at college football stadiums. Or NFL stadiums, some baseball stadiums like Fenway Park, for example. They can also run the All-Star race at a street course, the streets of New York or Chicago. Hell, even NASCAR can even make a return to its roots, like a Bowman Gray Stadium, North Wilkesboro, or they can also race on dirt in the All-Star race, like Eldora, for example. However, isn't what the Clash already is? Isn't that what the Clash already is? While the LA Coliseum was a huge hit, it looks like NASCAR's main objective with the Clash was to make it a rotating venue. Like, they weren't going to race. The impression that I had from that race is that they weren't going to race at the LA Coliseum like every single year. And, turning the All-Star race into a rotating venue as well will basically mean that there are now two non-points races that are virtually the same. The only difference is that one of them pays more than the other. So at this point, you might just make the Clash the new All-Star race. Get rid of the All-Star race at Texas and make the Clash the new All-Star race and hold it like a week or two before the Daytona 500. Kind of like a preseason thunder of sorts. And if you ask me, with the way NASCAR has been marketing and hyping up the Clash as of late, you think the Clash was the All-Star race and not whatever the hell happened at Texas. The Clash, at this point, the Clash has more potential than the All-Star race. So does it still make sense for NASCAR to hold an All-Star race if they're going to be so haphazard about it? Like, the only way I can see the All-Star race being successful again moving forward is turning into a rotating venue full of gimmicks, but also lots of fun. It generates a lot of buzz, either positive or negative. The thing is, though, we already got that with the Clash. Like, when people went to one of the main reasons that people went to tune into the Clash at the LA Coliseum, a lot of the casual fans especially, was because they wanted to see what the buzz was all about. And turning the All-Star race into basically a second Clash, it will be almost redundant. Even if you decide to rotate the Clash between stadium races and the All-Star race rotates between like an active NASCAR tracks. Like, for example, you can do the Clash, they did it at LA Coliseum. You can make the Clash like on stadium races, and then you can do the All-Star race like a rotating venue between like tracks like Las Vegas and Bristol, for example. Yes, it will make like each event unique, but it will basically be the same concept, like rotating venue for a Dash for Cash prize. It's the same thing. So why doesn't NASCAR make the Clash the new All-Star race and they just get rid of the All-Star race altogether? And before you people say All-Star race in the off-season doesn't work, the NFL does it. The NFL, they do the Pro Bowl like a few weeks after the Super Bowl. It's technically in the off-season. So why not NASCAR? Especially since NASCAR, in their case, their season begins with the Daytona 500, which has been compared to as the Super Bowl of NASCAR. They start the season with the Super Bowl, so why not do the inverse of the NFL, and they start the season with the All-Star race, and then we go into Speed Weeks where they do the Daytona 500. It kind of works. And the more I think about it, the more it makes sense, because like I said, the All-Star race just doesn't feel special anymore. Back then, the teams went as far as to unveil special paint schemes. Like sometimes they even run a different number. I remember back in 2011, Jimmy Johnson ran the 5 car for the All-Star race, and Mark Martin ran the 25. And in 2016, Kyle Busch ran the number 75 to commemorate like Eminem's 75th anniversary. That's just how much teams and sponsors alike went to make the All-Star race feel like a special event, not only for NASCAR, but also for them. And before you people say like, oh yeah, teams don't do like season-long sponsors anymore. You don't got like the Home Depots of the world, the Lowe's of the world that they pour tons of money to make an entire team run on sponsorship on one sponsor for the whole season. Well, there's been quite a few drivers throughout history that have signed one race deals with sponsors to only sponsor the car for the All-Star race. So it doesn't matter, like sponsorship doesn't matter as long as you make it feel special. And at this point, most fans wouldn't feel any type of way if NASCAR got rid of the All-Star race because, like I said, it just doesn't feel special anymore. And I know, yeah, the NASCAR All-Star race has its own history. The Clash, the Busch Clash has its own history. But when it comes right down to it, when you really think about it, pound for pound, the All-Star race is kind of a glorified version of the Clash. You put a couple of drivers, like 20 drivers or so, and they race for a big cash prize. That's what the Clash is. That's what the All-Star race is. The All-Star race is different because the cash prize is bigger, but there's the point what I said. That's just what I said. The All-Star race is kind of a glorified version of the Clash right now. Now, whether you agree or disagree with this idea of mine of getting rid of the All-Star race and basically merging the Clash and the All-Star race all together, whether you agree or disagree with me, it doesn't matter. Again, like I said, I'm not fully sold on the idea, but this is not something I said just for the sake of saying, because like I was talking about, the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. Because at this point, whether you agree or disagree with me again, you gotta realize something has to change. This All-Star race was by far the worst display of not only officiating, but also the same problems that have plagued NASCAR all season long, with Goodyear not bringing proper tires to the event, awful race control officiating. All of those problems, they rear its ugly head. Like, it was on full. This All-Star race was a full display of the worst that NASCAR has to offer. And unlike the past race at Kansas, the race before the All-Star race, the racing product couldn't save it, because the racing product, it basically didn't change. If you look at it, like I said, if you look at the Gen 6 racing at Texas and you look at it, compare it side by side to what we saw at the All-Star race, the Gen 7 was basically the same as the Gen 6. Not even the Gen 7 could fix Texas. And this Gen 7 car has been hyped up as being the savior of 1.5 mile tracks. Bro, Texas is beyond saving. That track has been chemically treated with PJ1 beyond repair. That 2017 repave ruined the track. It's incredible. Like, something has to change, man. I don't know what, but something. I don't care at this point if the Clash... If NASCAR is going to keep treating the All-Star race like this, they just might as well get rid of it, because there's no point in wasting an entire off weekend, in making an entire weekend just for NASCAR to put on a shit show. It's just not worth it. especially if they're going to run it back at Texas again, which I don't think they should. But yeah, that's the end of this video. If I got a little bit ranty at the end, it's because I am, because seriously, this has been the angriest I have been in years. Like, with so many good things happening this season, 2022 has been great, but this is like the first truly down point of the season. And yeah, I know it was a non-points race, okay, but it was an all-star race still. It was like, there was real money on the line, like $1 million, and teams just didn't care. It didn't seem like they care. Fans just didn't care. And once again, you got the NASCAR executives doing that, the same bullshit excuse of, oh, we like what we saw. We want this racing again. We're gonna make it. We're working to have the All-Star race at Texas again. Come on, man. Come on, man. Like, how dense can you be? But again, that said, I'm done.